All right, kids, here we are. Here we go. Just past high noon. May I be the first to say good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy, and this, conveniently enough, is the Matt Murphy Radio Show until 3 o'clock this afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, where we bring you live and local conversation from early morning until late in the evening. From dusk until dawn, or dawn until dusk, I guess it would be. Dan Mandis, Chris Hand, Matt Murphy, and The Drive with Brian Wilson. There you are, your live and local information-fueled and opinion-driven news talk radio for the masses on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. How about that? Let's get the pleasantries out of the way, and we'll move into some of the content of the show, to include General Assembly shenanigans yesterday. We're going to dive into that. I don't understand what this group wants that had to be removed from the Senate gallery. I want to talk about it. I want to get your opinions on it. We will do that in the opening of the show. As a matter of fact, my opening monologue will be mildly suspended because we're going to roll over into a conversation with Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson via phone. He had a very narrow and tight window between 12:20 and 12:30 today, and we asked him to come on to give us his eyewitness account of what happened yesterday in the Tennessee Senate. If you have not heard, individuals, including covenant mothers, had to be removed from the Senate gallery because they would not comport themselves in a manner befitting the Senate decorum that is expected by the gallery. We will discuss why that happened coming up in just a few moments on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. But before we do, it is episode 550 of these proceedings here. We're happy that you've decided to join us. Whatever time you can give us, we're certainly appreciative of that as well. I've got 180 minutes, and I would appreciate it if you would fit your schedule around noon to 3. Would you do that for me? You can find us on, obviously, the radio, 99.7 FM. You can also find us on a variety of streaming platforms, including iHeart and Spotify. I always say those because those are the two that come to mind, but there are a lot of them. We have our own app. You can download us and take us wherever you go in your smartphone technology or whatever technology you're utilizing to stream information or music. And then, of course, there's Super Talk TV. For you masochists in the listening audience, I primp myself up daily. And as I mentioned to Bell K right before the show began, by the way, Bell right behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible. As I mentioned to him, I've gotten to a length of hair where I've got a nice Barry Gibb wing action going on above both of my ears, which you can't really see because of the headphones if you're watching on Super Talk TV, but I promise you, it's there. Maybe I'll showcase it a little bit later on, my flowing locks.
Now, if you could only grow the beard he has.
That's true. It's sad, but true. I wish. It's like my beard looks like a rat has attacked it on the regular. One way or the other, you can view the shenanigans on Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I'm alone on Super Talk Television. Bell K is asked on a daily basis to join in, and he refuses on a daily basis, which is why we call him Headless Bell. But he does entitle the episodes. It's a big one. 550 is entitled.
Murphy Show reminds you, a title is everything, which is why the Bond movie wasn't called Poopfinger.
Now you're just stealing my own
Hey,
joke.
you know what? When inspiration hits you, use it.
I told Bell in the break room earlier today, I said, Ian Fleming, he originally, I think he made the right call. He originally, Goldfinger, he originally was going to call it Poopfinger.
Changed everything.
It really changed the entire narrative.
We have $1 billion franchise out of it.
Poopfinger. He's the man.
Somewhere there's a mother driving her child somewhere, and the kid's going, they said poop.
All you kids out there listening during your lunchtime hour, Uncle Murphy wants you to sing along with Uncle Murphy. Poopfinger. He started with Dr. Yes.
Didn't have the same ring to it.
No, and everybody was happy. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, that's all good. Then he settled on Dr. No, and everything changed. Anyway, it's going to be that kind of show. I just promise you that. All right, a couple of things. Jack Johnson, I mentioned him at 12:20. We'll welcome to the show. I don't believe we've ever talked to the chairman of the Appropriations Committee, but we will today. Representative Ryan Williams will be on to discuss his bill in the House of Representatives that would give certain teachers an opportunity to carry a firearm in class with them. This is absolutely freaking out many liberals who have been exposed as such as part of the debate on this legislation. I don't say that with, any animosity necessarily. But I do have some information that I think is important. And I'm going to attempt to be as sensitive as I possibly can to the Covenant School and what they went through a year and several weeks ago in Nashville. But if you are going to act in a political fashion and in a partisan political fashion, and you are going to shield yourself from any and all criticism based on the idea that you're a Covenant mom, I think maybe it's time that we talked about the realities of what was going on at the Covenant School. Whether you knew it or not, some of the things that you're now arguing against were going on at the Covenant School. Let me just put it down here where the goats can graze on it, and we'll talk about it further right after we talk to Jack Johnson. We are debating a bill in the state of Tennessee that would give teachers the opportunity. It's called the Protect Tennessee Minors Act, which would require, well, no, I'm sorry. That's different. Hold on. Move back, Murphy. Here we go. I got the wrong story up. The Senate passed legislation that would allow teachers to be armed on public property, or on public school property. Lawmakers passed the bill, Senate Bill 1325, which would allow school faculty and staff to carry concealed handguns if they obtain an enhanced handgun carry permit, complete 40 hours of school safety training annually, obtain approval from relevant school and law enforcement authorities, and are not restricted from owning firearms, generally speaking. Videos posted on the X platform, I call it the X machine, show the gallery audience interrupting lawmakers repeatedly as they discussed the bill. That eventually led Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally to order spectators cleared from the gallery. Multiple individuals initially refused to leave the gallery, according to the Tennessean and reporter Rachel Wegner, who wrote that Covenant mom Mary Joyce and others were among those who refused to clear the chamber. Wegner reported the standoff eventually ended with the protesters leaving the Senate gallery, but two Covenant mothers were allowed to remain, quote, with permission from Speaker McNally. We will share some thoughts offered by some of these Covenant moms coming up. Now, I don't know. I don't know what it's like. I don't pretend to know what it's like. I have spoken in the past about my grandfather and my grandmother losing their son, my uncle, when he was 18 years old in 1967. This was due to a car accident. And the pain that they went through, and subsequently how much I learned about this pain long after they were gone. I mean, after my grandfather died, I found notes. I found so much information that filled in the gaps about what life was like. I remember sitting in the attic of my grandparents' home in Thompson. And I was 42 years old. No, I'm sorry. I was in 2015. Yeah, I was 42 years old. And I realized, it hit me like a ton of bricks, that in 1967, when my grandfather lost his only son, he was 3 years younger than me. And I wept. Because I don't understand how to comprehend that type of loss and pain. I'll never understand how to comprehend that type of, I pray God I never understand it. My grandfather never spoke of it. He was of the generation where you just didn't. I say never. I pulled a little bit out of him. I think I remember telling you one time, Belle, that I asked my grandfather after my mother died about, you've lost both of them. There was some portion of the conversation that came up. He said, yeah, he said it's, I don't know how to make sense of it because it's not natural. They're supposed to bury me. I'm not supposed to bury them, and certainly not both of them. So I am incredibly sensitive to especially the covenant parents that lost their children. And I try to be sensitive to the rest of them, but they're making it damn difficult. I'll be honest with you. Because they're now arguing that public school, listen to me closely now. They're arguing yesterday that public schools should not have the same type of opportunities that the covenant school itself utilized. Whether these parents know it or knew it or not. I have information that I've confirmed from 2 sources that there was a faculty or staff member at the covenant school that had been authorized to carry a gun. And it is with sadness that I tell you that they were not at school that day. They were on vacation that week. That is information that I have from 2 separate sources about the nature of the covenant school. Now, I don't know if the covenant moms were aware of that or not. But don't you think you should be before you argue that under no circumstances should anyone ever be armed? The very school that you sent your child to decided to take that measure. And I'm certain that they made that decision after careful consultation with many various different peoples. I do believe that we all need to know these things if we're going to have these discussions, these adult discussions about how best to protect our children. Because you simply are not living in the real world if your only solution is to blink your eyes like Barbara Eden on I Dream of Jeannie and expect all of the guns to disappear. And oh, by the way, even if you were able to make that happen, if you were able to make all the guns disappear, do you not understand that the criminals are going to pick up knives or rocks or sticks? There will come a time when we must defend ourselves or fortify ourselves. So we'll discuss that with heavy hearts on the show today. 12:17. We'll start there. We'll get into some other political news out of the state of Tennessee. Obviously, there's other news going on across the country. Hey, that Bidenomics is doing great, huh? Hey, you name
3.5, man. 3.5.
Come on, baby. You name it, you own it, and it's Bidenomics in progress. We'll discuss that at some point during the proceedings. Cameron Smith coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. It's 12:17 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy. Craft Body Scan is a one-stop shop when it comes to getting information about what's going on the inside of your body. Here's how it works, folks. The process is simple. You make the call. You do not have to be referred. You can make a call and make an appointment on your own. That's great. Although I would appreciate it if you said, hey, Matt Murphy sent me. Maybe I can be your referral. That's what it is. I'm your official referral for Craft Body Scan. Just mention my name when you make the call to schedule the appointment. You'll receive a private health consultation on site where they learn about you, you learn about them. They have a variety of different types of scans, but what I want to focus in on is kind of an introductory scan, the heart and lung scan. Those are obviously 2 of the most important organs inside of your body. I mean, it goes without saying. We need to make sure that these things are operating properly, right? And problems exist well before you feel symptomatic. So you're scanned on site. The actual scan is non-invasive. You don't have to take your clothes off or anything. It takes about 5 to 8 minutes. They then review the images by their board-certified radiologist. Results are presented by their team of providers. You also receive a complete packet of information about your results. It's peace of mind, friends. And if you catch something going on in your body, you want to catch it as early as possible before symptoms present. Do this. $149. This is a $1,300 plus value. And you can bring a friend, a spouse, a loved one with you. They'll scan both of you. $149. Craftbodyscan.com or 615-436-1000. 615-436-1000. I say that you up your food game by upping your spice game, and you up your spice game at Savory Spice. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for the good people of Savory Spice. Holly and David are good folk. As a matter of fact, Holly just reached out to me to tell me about some of the wonderful spices they have coming in at both locations, Elladale Market in Nashville and just off to the square in Franklin next to Gray's Pharmacy. And they do. They have a new and different, literally, Holly's been teaching me about, kind of seasonal spices that they have for different dishes that pop up at different times of the year. I'm excited to tell you about all that Savory Spice has to offer, but really, you have to see it to understand it. It is a spice shop extraordinaire. It is for the experienced chef. It's for the newbie in the kitchen that wants to up their level of cooking, up their food game. Don't just plop something up out of a can and think that you're cooking. Let's take it up a notch, and you do that with Savory Spice, and they're there to help. They have different spice blends. They have different combinations. They have like literal food prep where all you have to do is buy the meat and buy a couple of veggies, put it in the crock pot, and boom, you got Sunday pot roast or whatever you happen to be cooking. It's all happening at Savory Spice. Once again, 2 locations. Go by and see them. Holly David ready for you at Savory Spice. I say you up your food game by upping your spice game. And you up your spice game either at Elladale Market on Charlotte Pike or in Franklin off the square at the one and only Savory Spice. Super Talk 99.7 WTN 1223, a very, very tight window with Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson. He agrees to join us today, and I appreciate his time. Thank you, Jack, for spending some time with us during your lunch hour. I know it's a busy day on Capitol Hill. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. And by the way, I haven't had lunch, and I just heard the savory spice commercial, and it made me really hungry. I mean, so I hope I can have some lunch here.
I recommend the Alderwood sea salt. Absolutely delicious.
That sounds so good.
Anyway, so tell me, just without leading you in any particular direction, considering this the bill that was being debated on the floor, 1325, things got a little raucous in the Senate. We're not accustomed to that necessarily, but tell us what happened.
Well, sure. We had a full gallery, and I love it when people come out and see their government in action and in operation. And we have school groups, we've got leadership groups, and sometimes we have people that are not happy with what we might be discussing. But we have strict rules, and that's for a reason. We can't conduct the people's business when people start screaming and shouting and booing and clapping and that type of thing. So, the Lieutenant Governor McNally, he was very patient, and he expressed that we can't have those kinds of disruptions in the chamber, and they kept doing it, and he warned them 2 or 3 times, and then ultimately had to clear the chamber or the gallery rather. And I hate that, because there were people there just wanting to watch their government in action, and because of some bad actors, everybody had to be cleared out. But and most of them, and I've heard your opening monologue on the legislation, a lot of misinformation about the bill, and I'm happy to discuss what we were actually passing on the Senate floor.
Well, I mean, there's, the late, great Phil Valentine, I've heard it said that he said quite a bit that emotion can bring you to a problem, but it cannot bring you out of the problem. Only logic, rational thought can get you out of an issue. And so there's a lot of emotion that brings people to the gallery on this issue, particularly regarding the Covenant School. We are all sensitive to that. But tell me the impetus behind the bill and your understanding of what the legislation would do.
Sure. And if you really dissect the bill and understand what we debated and we passed overwhelmingly, and the House has passed it too, I believe, or soon will, even though we have appropriated money to put a school resource officer in every single school in the state of Tennessee, every single public school, we still have over 500 schools that do not have a school resource officer, even though we've made the money available. Some of it is a workforce issue, it's a capacity issue, and just trying to get the appropriate people hired and in these schools. So we have a lot of schools out there that don't have any type of armed protection for the students that are there. And so we've had a number of districts that have come to us saying, hey, can we do something much like private schools have been able to do, which is to bring in, either outside security of some sort that's maybe not an actual law enforcement officer, like a school resource officer. And so the legislation we passed said that if there's an agreement between the school superintendent, the